I just wanted to do a shop tour before. A lot of big changes coming in my shop. This section of the shop is 25 by 40, and the entire building is 40 by 85. These doors I'm gonna take out. I might put one service door in, or I'll just build off that wall. I just don't need access through this room. On this side of the wall, I'm gonna move all my lumber storage and have some open spot to park anything I need in here, utility trailer or anything. This I just put up is a 10 by 12 office space, and the furnace in here. I decorated this a little bit with some car siding and then 3 foot of white wainscot to match the steel on the ceiling and this wall here. I still need to mud and tape all the drywall. I haven't moved anything in here yet. I'm waiting to get the drywall done. But, just an office. Then up along this wall here, I'm gonna put a garage door in to be able to pull my truck and trailer in here for the winter. I live in Wisconsin, so it's nice to keep everything indoors if possible. I'm gonna leave this door out the whole wooden section, it'll just be an open doorway coming through into my main shop here. So that's this room here. I keep my air compressor in here for now just to keep down on noise. But I'm still working in this section of the room, getting it ready to move everything over. Then coming through these doors here is my actual main wood shop. I do cabinet and furniture making and custom install work for a living. So I just work out of my home shop or my job trailer I take right to the site. Here's some projects I got stored along this wall that were in the middle room there. Cutting boards, just little odds and ends. Live edge table here. That's covered up, but that's a pretty cool table. This is the main door that I use. And right off to the side of that is my miter saw station. Got a 6 foot wing on this side with the cart underneath it, and then the far side I got an 8 foot wing, which will balance on anything, even 16 foot lumber, so there's not much that I can't cut on here. Keep all my cutoff storage behind it, just odds and ends, the little boards that I got left that I don't want to throw away quite yet. Scrap pin underneath it. I just take that out and burn it. I've got a barrel outside. Underneath there's the shop vac, and I've got another little miter saw in my job trailer. I'll store that underneath there if I need it out of my trailer. Then I just built this miter saw station, so I don't have the dust collection fully ran yet to it, but I got the pipe. That's my plan anyways. I'm not sure how well that's gonna work, but for now the dust collection hood keeps all the dust in there. The saw itself is a DeWalt 12-inch sliding miter saw. I bought this saw in high school and I really like it. Just one of the only tools I bought brand new, and it was well worth the money. It has a pretty big footprint, but in this size of shop, I'm not too worried about that. Then right off from the end of it, another reason I like my big miter saw station is I use this for just holding stock that's going into the drum sander too. Drum sander is a Performax 2244. They were bought out by, I think, Jet, and now they're rebranded under Jet's name, but the sander itself is still in great shape. I bought this used off from Craigslist. It's a pretty good tool. The knob is broke off from it here, so I just got to use a screwdriver, but other than that, that's a pretty good machine. I've got it ran to a separator and then to the Delta dust collector. I'll take this dust collector and run the pipe either to the bandsaw, or I've got a pipe coming off my table saw too. And then coming down the line, there's the 35-year anniversary Grizzly 17-inch bandsaw. It's a really nice saw for resawing. It's got a big capacity on it. It's 220, along with this shaper is 220. And right now, the only outlet I got wired in for 220 is right there, so they stay right next to each other. I got the bandsaw on wheels, so I can just pull that right out if I'm using my shaper. The shaper here is a Reliant, I think 2 horsepower shaper. It's got a Grizzly power feed roller on it. I really only use this for running cabinet rails and stiles through, and the power feed really speeds that up and keeps everything uniform and nice. It's a really nice machine to have around, but it only gets used once or twice on a project normally. This is actually my buddy's shop smith. I've used it as a lathe before. I'd like to get my own lathe sometime, but this one does the job and it's nice having here. Then this is a 2-foot by 8-foot workbench I keep both my router tables on it. This one's a Ryobi table with a rigid 1/2-inch router in it, variable speed. I'll use this for cope and stick. I'll run one side on my shaper and then cope them on the router here. And then my router bit storage behind it. And then this router is a Ryobi router, and the table. It's a different router than that came in the table, but still just a 1/4-inch Ryobi router. It does the job, but it's a little noisier than I like, and I don't know how long it'll last, but it works good for now. This is my end door here with some extra overflow lumber storage. I got that off from Craigslist too. It's just all redwood. I'm not sure what I'll use it for, but couldn't pass it up. This cart, I'll put a big project on to roll around or finish on it. Along with this cart, I like to finish. It's got the metal racks on it. 6x12 shop trailer, or job trailer, I mean, is just backed in here. I'd like to get it moved into that other room soon here. Then along this garage door, I've got lumber storage, some thicker stock down at the bottom there, red oak, hickory, white oak, some walnut up top, and maple. I'll be building another lumber rack. I'm just trying to use up what I have so it's easier to move into that other room in the next couple months here. A plywood rack along with some shorter stock storage. I've got a couple red oak slabs underneath there. That's a vanity I'm working on, but it's kind of on delay, as you can see with everything piled on it. Some hardware storage. I keep all my plywood almost all leaned up against the wall there, even though I got that storage over there. I mostly just stand it up right off that panel saw. Then down this wall, some more cut off sheet storage. And then here's my sanding table. I keep my sanders on it. They're both used machines, but They're pretty nice. I don't use the disc sander on that much other than sharpening pencils and little stuff. I mostly just use it for the belt sander. And then in these drawers, I don't keep a whole lot in. They were in the shop, so I just use them for the counter space and cart. And then the K4 Craig jig here. About the only tool I'd use a corded drill for, just because it stays in one spot and you never have to worry about the battery dying on you. Husky toolbox here. I only keep my sockets and wrenches and little stuff like that in there. I don't use it much. This is my Ryobi benchtop drill press. I don't use a drill press for much other than I drill plugs for it, and every once in a while I'll countersink bit in there. Keep drill bits and stuff in the drawers. And then along this back wall, I've got a tool wall, a little cart, then all my finishes and stains and everything. The tool wall I haven't been using much. I keep most of my tools underneath my workbenches now, but it's still nice to have. Moving into the center of the shop, I got glue up tables here that I do all my messier glue ups like cutting boards and stuff like that on. I put hardboard on and a layer of paste wax on these tables to be able to just wipe glue right off. It's a nice surface to work on. All my clamps are on this cart here. I haven't really found a clamp that I like a whole lot, but pipe clamps seem to be my favorite for the bigger glue ups, and then these just cheap F-style clamps are nice to have for small stuff. I like these K bodies, but they get so covered in glue they're hard to deal with sometimes. And then my main assembly table here has a retractable power cord on it. There's a trim router down there and a belt sander, some walnut, some project that I'm working on right now here. Then underneath the assembly table I'll throw my drill that I'm using on that shelf there, and I keep on the bottom my framing nailer and shop towels. And I got a multi-tool, 16 gauge rigid brad nailer, 18 gauge rigid, and a 23 gauge pin. Then I just picked up this Arrow P50 or T50 stapler. It's nice to have. Biscuit joiner, I'll use that for tabletop hold down fasteners, but I don't even think I have any biscuits in this shop right now. I haven't used them in a long time. I don't really find them necessary for doing glue ups anymore. This cart I'm really starting to like. I just built it. It's based off from an Armored Tools workbench on wheels. It's about 3 foot by 5 foot with a torsion box top on it. I'm really starting to like it. I wanted something on wheels to roll into that middle room there if I'm working on something or haul lumber out, so I'm planning to do some tool storage like on the assembly table, but for now I just throw some drills underneath there, and I might throw some hardware storage on the end or something like that. Right off to the side here, I got my planer with a dust collector and then the joiner on the other side. This is a shop cart, but it mostly just lives right by the planer here to hold the wood as it comes out of the planer and stack stuff on there for the planer. This is my DeWalt 13-inch planer. It's a really good machine for the size of it and for the price. The only thing I don't like is how fast it goes through knives, and there's not really a super good way to sharpen them, but they're cheap enough to replace, so it's not too big of a deal. Another off the dust collector, I got separators on both of them, and that's nice. Blast gates to both machines, but I leave them both open most of the time. It still does a good job. And then over here is my rigid 6-inch joiner. The only complaint I have about this is the beds on it are a little short. So when you got a 8 or 10 foot board, the joiner, it gets a little tippy on it. I've got it up on wheels just to get off the ground. I'm a little bit taller of a guy, so it's nice to have it up a little bit. It's kind of short to start with. And then right behind the joiner and planer, this is my main workbench. I put an overhead light above it to give me some extra light. I really only use this workbench for some hand tool work. I shouldn't even say that. Mostly just like chiseling and fine tuning, some sanding I do on this table. This is all my owner's manuals and books and stuff like that. Sander underneath there. This is kind of my junk drawer. I got 2 different types of pencils. You can never have too many in a shop. Digital gauge, depth gauge here, plug cutter set, some rubber gloves, drill bit set, 2 rolls of tape, duct tape, and painter's tape, extra blades for my knives. It's always nice to have a sharp blade, so I just buy a big pack of them. This here is a edge band trimmer. I use that all the time. It speeds it up. Squares, more blades. These are just extra drill bits and odds and ends, straight edge. These are for my bench cookies. I got those on the other side right now, but those are just stands-offs for them and nice for a little finish work. This drawer, it's kind of a mess right now as I'm in the process of moving. All these receipts and everything will go into the office. Edge banding, more drill bits. I'll throw that in my tool bag if I need it. Some dowels, Craig screws. I only use those if I am out of the shop. I'll just grab the whole kit of them just to have them. Some cabinet hinges, extra on hand. Some soft close and some regular slides here. Garbage bags. I let that hang out and I can just pull the garbage bag right out. This is supposed to be for all my sandpaper, random orbit paper, but as you can see I never really filled it up. Sanding sponge up there. On the end here I hang up my shop apron. I keep all my main tools, tape measure, knife, push stick. This square I use more than anything else is really nice to have on you all the time. And then of course, tape measure, another knife. And then I keep my drill bits at T25, T20, and a number 2 Phillips in there. This mallet I've used on every single project I've ever made probably. It's in pretty rough shape, but I can't get rid of it. This I just got, RZ mask. It's really comfortable. Works better than any dust mask I've worn. Mostly because I can stand to have it on my face. Everything else is just so hard to breathe out of. Safety glasses. Another roll of tape here and some other junk. Cutting board oil. Little Spalton maple box that I was working on. This is my main hardware drawer. This is what I use the most of. I got all these lag bolts. I had a garage sale. I don't know, I use them for some stuff, but not a whole lot. I prefer structural screws over those lag bolts, but this is what I use for pocket holes. I got them in fine and coarse thread here. It runs off from a T20 bit. And those I get sold at a local lumberyard, and I really like them more than the square head traditional ones. I get these at the same place. These are all Gold Star number 8 screws, anywhere from 1 inch here up to 2.5. And these are number 10 screws, but 3 inch. I only use torque head screws now. They're just so much easier to deal with. And The hardware's starting to overflow into this section too. Nuts, bolts, washers, push pins, just odds and ends stuff. Some drywall screws. Then over here, just keep all my brad nails. Here's my set of bench cookies. I use those quite a bit for sanding or routering and all that. Underneath, I need to get more organized, but mostly just hold stuff that I don't use a whole lot. Got a bank of outlets on here. The whole bench is ran on this switch here. Shuts out the light and the switches, but I keep all my chargers there. I should get all of them hung up, but I don't have them yet. And that about does it. This is a 4x4 workbench over here, and that's a catch-all because it's right in the door, and it's got some T-track on it. This is my radio and tool bins. Then the last thing, center of my workshop, my table saw with outfeed. I try not to use the outfeed table as an assembly table, but it's the biggest table in my shop, so it does happen. That's why I like that extra width on there. I can still make cuts and have stuff off to the sides. I got a little cabinet that I just threw on there. I want to add some doors on there, possibly drawers. But it keeps my dado blades, some jigs, tenoning jig, face plates, or inserts I should say, and wrenches. The saw itself is a Powermatic Artisan saw. I added on this extra wing, and I screwed on a piece of MDF in there for dust collection, but it doesn't work very well, and I always forget to hook it up. That's one thing I'd really like to do this year, is run some ducting throughout the whole shop onto one main cyclone system, but we'll see. The fence on it's really nice, and it has plenty of power for everything you need. It's just on 110. It's a nice little saw. I'll be using this for my dado set almost exclusively once I get a cabinet grade saw, but for now this one does a good job. I got it at an auction. Works really well. The rip capacity on it only goes out to 30 inches, or 29 it says, but you can get 30 on it. It'd be nice to be able to have a little bit more rip capacity, but it works good. So that's my shop. Both the rooms have their own furnace in them. Just propane garage heater. Works good. I don't keep my shop super warm, but thanks for watching. I'll be doing another shop tour once I get that middle room, or the smaller room down there, all organized out and the new garage door on it.